Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and at @U_Capper on Twitter. We're going to be breaking down 3 solid games today: Wizards, Pacers, Kings, Cavs, Bucks, Mavs. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about some promos, and it's a great promo at that. Rest of 2022 for $199 for any of your favorite SportsMemo cappers on the website, and that's for all sports, all packages basically, and that's for the, like I said, rest of 2022 for $199. That's an amazing deal for everyone, especially now when everything's going on: World Cup, NBA, college basketball, college football, NFL. College football, bowl season, all that stuff going on. So with that said, there's also another promo for myself and Moneyline Matt. That's $39 for the next 7 days in the NBA. That's a promo code Hoops39, I believe it's what it is. Hoops39. That's for me or Moneyline Matt for $39 the next 7 days in the NBA. With that said, 2 solid promos. Also, check out the website because usually they have other things going on as well. All the picks and packages from all the handicappers going on the site as well. Usually some guys put stuff down for real cheap on certain days. So head over to the website, catch some deals. Also make sure you hit the like and subscribe button because that helps us out a lot. And with that said, let's bring the boys in here. We got Moneyline Matt and Dr. Chuck in the building. There you go. Today is Friday, last show of the week. I feel like Fridays have been pretty good to us lately. So hopefully we continue to do that. Yesterday, Thursday night football. I had the Raiders. Not a good thing there. Last 3 minutes was tough. But in the NBA, personally, I went 2-1. But for some reason, when we input our plays on the website, they had Denver at -1 when everyone was getting +1 at the time. So ended up pushing on that on the website. So 1-1 on the day there. How did you guys do yesterday?
Yeah, what you just said, I did not know either because I had Denver Nuggets -1 on the website as well. And when Jamal Murray hit that last 3, I was like, all right, well, at least we get a push here. I wish I would have covered, but it is what it is. But not going to lie, it has been a pretty rough week for me. I'm not one of those cappers who's going to come on in front to the people. It's been a shitty week for me, and I'm looking to try and rebound this Friday. You know what I mean? And we got a pretty good slate here. Pretty excited to jump into it. Again, it's just been one of those weeks. Jamal Murray hits a buzzer beater 3, and I end up pushing. So ready to get it going. I think we got some good plays today, so ready to break stuff down.
Yeah, when these pushes go in your way, usually that's a sign that things are going to be going on the upswing. So, Dr. Chuck, how was your Thursday?
Yeah, that was a fun game last night. I didn't have a side, but I was like that's to Dame time ×2 was amazing for Murray to come back and hit that. I had a lot of plays in the Rockets game, and thank God I was on the Rockets in the first half because, geez, only the Rockets could lose that badly to the second, third string Spurs. The Spurs haven't won since Halloween or something like that, and then they get that win. But we did pretty good because Jalen Green bailed us out on a first half Rockets play and some Sengun props. So pretty solid day, and looking forward to my first Friday show here. So I hope I can bring good juju for you guys too, especially for Matt. Get back up on the winning side here.
Yeah, let's get back on the winning side here. First up, Wizards and Pacers. Wizards 11-14 on the season. They're on a 4-game losing streak. This is the first leg of back-to-back road to home games as well. They face the Clippers tomorrow. Pacers 13-12. They've cooled down a little bit. They were on a hot streak, and now they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. This is also the first leg of back-to-back games for them as well, but both of their games will be at home. They face the Nets tomorrow. From an injury perspective, Wizards without Beal, Wright, Hachimura, and Devin Dotson, with Barton and Porzingis currently both questionable. Tease out for the Pacers, James Johnson, Miles Turner, and Isaiah Jackson, all questionable for the Pacers. I think we talked about the Wizards the last game, and we talked about how the Wizards do well without Bradley Beal. But if Porzingis is not going to be playing today, that's going to be a big question mark for the Wizards here. Do you think they can get it done today, Dr. Chuck?
Well, I don't really like. We discussed this game just a little bit before we came on air, and I don't like this line, which is why I wonder if people know something that we don't know. Because, I mean, sure, the Pacers are at home and they've been a bit of surprise, and Tyrese is back, and boy, did he, of course, because everyone had the Warriors in all kinds of different ways. The Pacers, without anybody, beat the Warriors from jump and wire to wire them the other night, and I think Tyrese took that personally and was like, I'm going to come back and make sure no one thinks they can do this without me. And he put up like 26, 15, and 8 or something ridiculous. And so, his props, I know Matt and probably Ron are always on his kind of props. I don't like this line because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense on a neutral court. They're telling us that in this state, I know Beal's out, but I want to know what's going on with Porzingis. So he did leave, but then came back and finished the game. So this isn't a good spot, though, and it's a pretty popular type thing that I bet Matt's going to talk about, so I won't steal too much of his thunder. But the Pacers have been gone since Thanksgiving. Not a good spot. Not a good spot to be a home favorite. First time back, just running an SDQL on 6 straight road games and then being a home favorite. They win most of the time, but they rarely cover. In fact, I think the covering is like 7 and 15, just going back to 2019, not counting the bubble. So, but the over is pretty solid there. The over hits about 65% of the time. It's a big over here. We want Porzingis in. But yeah, the Wizards, it's hard to figure out what's going on with them. Watch to see if anybody else is listed out, though, because the Pacers bleed points to the opponent just as much as the Wizards can. And Kuzma is stepping it up every game. He's always a PRA. It's not listed yet, and it won't be officially a best bet because it's not up yet. But Jalen Smith is going to be back for this game. He had a slight 1-game injury, probably one of the most improved players in the entire NBA. And he is going to be an over points, over rebounds, over points plus rebounds type prop tonight. The Wizards, just taking this into account from fantasy during this losing streak, the opposing 4, and this isn't just one singular person, but the opposing 4 is putting up like 37, 21, and 8. And that's, and I think he's probably going to be listed about 20 for a points plus rebounds. And so that's where I'm looking, especially if Miles Turner is listed out. That's going to be an even more valuable prop, but probably doesn't move that number. But yeah, I want to get more information and see where this line goes a little bit, but I would probably lean to the over here, even with a really big number.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there with Miles Turner. I my best bet is actually going to be on this game on the side. So I'll talk about the total real quick before we get to Matt, because you mentioned Miles Turner and him being questionable here. I would play this total on the over if he is out, because one thing that I looked at was, so Miles Turner's been with this Pacers team since 2015, right? He started every single game so far that he's played for this team since 2018. And since 2018, when he misses the game, the Pacers are 65 and 27 to the over. That's a 70.7% hit rate to the over if Miles Turner is out of the lineup for the Pacers. That's like a blind tail of cash. So if Miles Turner, if we just kind of wait on this one and just say, all right, if Miles Turner is in, then we don't play the total. But if Miles Turner is out, just take the over. That might be the way to go. And it's something that you could just pretty much profit off of the last 4 years without doing any research, other than just seeing if Miles Turner is in or out. So that's the way that I would go on the total there. Just the over, basically, if Miles Turner is out. Matt, how are you looking at this one?
Yeah, so for me, I'm actually looking at a side, and my side here is going to be the Washington Wizards. And, the Wizards come into this matchup 11 and 14 on the season and have now lost 4 games in a row. On away games this season, the Wizards are also 3 and 6 straight up and are 5, 6 and 1 against the spread. And surprisingly, the Wizards are actually stronger at hitting spread spots in away games. So it makes me kind of like them a little bit more here. As for the Indiana Pacers, this is a team that has now won 1 of their last 5 games and is finally back home after, to Chuck's point, after 6 games on the road. The Pacers are 7-4 against the spread at home this season. And, coming into this matchup, they actually do appear to be the healthier of the two teams. Again, to Chuck and Ron's point, Miles Turner questionable, and Isaiah Jackson is also a game-time decision. With the Wizards, they're still without Beal and have Porzingis and Barton as game-time decisions. So 2 key guys in terms of how it could affect the spread, how it could affect the over-under. So I would like to see them be declared in or out before making an official play on this. But as of now, I really do like the look of this Wizards +5. I think that's a lot of points to give this Wizards team, a team that definitely needs a win at this point in time, and against the Pacers team that they're pretty similar to. And even if Porzingis cannot suit up, I think I'm still okay with this. And I would potentially pivot and look at Kyle Kuzma, points, rebounds, assists. I think that's a very good spot when Kristaps Porzingis is out, especially with Bradley Beal out as well. Kyle Kuzma is going to take up a lot of that usage, and he's going to attack the boards a lot more. And I tell you right now, even going back to Kyle Kuzma with the Lakers, there is a lot of value in guys like, say, even Anthony Davis back in the day. When those guys would miss, his assists go up big time as well. So you can get some good value in his assist props on top of that. But, in the only game where Kristaps Porzingis missed that Kyle Kuzma filled in, he had 36 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. So just absolutely killed his PRA spot against an Indiana Pacers team that you could probably attack pretty well. I think that's a very good look on top of that if, in fact, Porzingis is declared out. But again, like I said, all in all, I'd be with this Wizards side regardless of what it is. I think +5 is just too many points for a Pacers team at this point in time. And again, these two teams are incredibly similar. When you actually look at their adjusted rating, they are separated by only 2 spots. The Washington Wizards come in at 20th and the Pacers at 22nd. The Wizards offense is 16th. The Pacers is 18th. The Pacers defense is 21st. The Wizards is 23rd. So there's really not that much differentiation between these two teams. And I actually think the Washington Wizards are the team that need this game more. So giving me 5 points with the Wizards, even though it's on the road, I feel comfortable backing them.
Yeah, definitely agree. I'll break that down more also on the best bet section. So I love that breakdown there. Next up, guys, Kings versus Cavs. Kings 13-10 on the season, which is good for 5th in the West. I think that's a surprise to some people for them being 5th in the West. They're coming off a 13-point loss to the Bucks in Milwaukee. This is the second game of a long 6-game road trip for them. The Cavs 16-9 so far this season. They're actually in pretty good form right now. They won 8 of their last 11 games. Haven't played since Tuesday, so they're pretty rested. This is their first leg of back-to-back home games for them. Key injuries tonight, though, to be looking out for. De'Aaron Fox is questionable for the Kings, and for the Cleveland Cavs, Donovan Mitchell is a game-time decision. Terrence Davis is also questionable for the Kings, and a bunch of guys are out for Cleveland. Love, Rubio, Wade, and Windler are all out. Donovan Mitchell this morning did not participate in the shoot-arounds, so that's pretty worrisome about for his outlook on playing tonight. Matt, how are you looking at this game here?
Yeah, so for me, this is a spot where I'm going to be backing the Cavs. I do think this is a fishy line a little bit with the Kings getting +3.5. I actually thought maybe this would be more around the realm of 5, maybe. So I do think it's a little bit fishy, and that does make me a little skeptical on the Cavs -3.5. But I just think this Cleveland Cavaliers team is too good. And like to your point, De'Aaron Fox is a game-time decision. And if he misses in comparison to, say, the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell misses, I think the Cavs have more of those players who can slide in and replace some of that value more so than in comparison to the Sacramento Kings. On the season right now, this is a Cavs team that is 9-1-2 against the spread at home and is 11-1 straight up at home overall. So this is a very tough place to play in Cleveland. I also think that the addition of Jarrett Allen coming back from injury, he is one of those guys he's such a presence in that middle for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It allows Evan Mobley to do a little bit more as well. He doesn't have to handle that number 1 center, so he can be a little more diverse, probably take a little more energy toward the offensive side as well. So that's a big factor for me here with Jarrett Allen. And when looking at these two teams, the Cavs are number 2 in overall adjusted rating, and the Kings come in 7th. And in terms of offense, this is a Sacramento Kings team who is actually third in adjusted offense. So they're actually very, very good there, but 26th in terms of overall defense. So that's where I think these two differentiate a little bit. Again, with Jarrett Allen locking down that middle, I do believe this is a Kings team that is somewhat undersized. And they have some very good jump shot shooters, no doubt about it. Like Malik Monk has really been coming along. Kevin Huerter's really been coming along. Harrison Barnes has been up and down, but he has his games. So they do have those guys who can hit those outside jump shots. But when you're very dependent on it, I think it makes it that much more difficult on the road, to make jump shots on the road in a hostile crowd against a team that has some lengthy defenders. I think that puts you in somewhat of a tough spot. And then in addition to that, De'Aaron Fox is a game time decision, but Terrence Davis is also a game time decision. And he's another guy who can come in off that bench and be a spark plug for the Sacramento Kings team. So for me, even if Donovan Mitchell is out, and I think the books are kind of saying that he might be out with this line, but I'm still okay with that. Karis LeVert can come in, slide in at that 2-guard position. And we've seen Darius Garland have the ability to absolutely go off against squads. He's had a 50-point game this season, and against the Sacramento Kings team, who really, if there is a weak spot on this team, it's definitely their defense. So I think Darius Garland could get out and run, help this team to get going. So for me, I would back the Cavs here at the -3.5. Not an official play or anything like that, but I do like the look of the Cavs so far.
Yeah, that's a good point. They've just been really good at home in general. Dr. Chuck, I know you probably looked at this in the SDQL. So I'll let you get into that. You're nodding your head, so I already know. Go ahead and talk about this Cavs Kings here.
Well, I assume you're talking about the fact that Cavs have one against the spread loss at home. Is that what you were referring to?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, far be it for me to fade those type of numbers, except that, the goal is for it to be 50-50. And yeah, this line, Matt brought up a lot of good points. This line to me, I can't remember what number exactly Matt said, but this line to me basically tells me that Vegas had to make a move because Spida didn't participate in the shoot round. And so they're probably thinking he's not going to play. What that tells me is, he brought up the fact this is a couple of more defensive minded teams, not 3-point chucking teams. Like, they have plenty of guys that will shoot the 3. Garland will definitely shoot the 3. Mitchell shoots the 3. They have other sharpshooting type guys, but they're not shooting the 3 as much without a Kevin Love. And the Kings aren't that way as well, and are more defensive minded on the Cavaliers side with Jarrett Allen in there. With Jarrett Allen and Mobley down low, that makes it a lot harder on Sabonis, but also could possibly get Sabonis in foul trouble. Of course, you're going to want to watch this Mitchell news because Garland is a fire on. I wanted to add one more thing for that Wizards because Kuzma's only played one time without Beal and Porzingis, and his usage rate was through the roof, and he put up a PRA of, I think, 57. So there's really no too high number. I think his PRA went over with just points, which brings me to Garland. If Garland is the starting point guard and Spida is not the starting shooting guard, he is going to have a usage rate that's going to be 30 plus, and he's going to flirt with a double-double with assists, as well as he will not have Spida, who is more of a black hole when he passes it to Mitchell and less of a look for the opening to get Mobley or Allen and alley-oop in a Capella, Trae Young type way. That's kind of how Garland focuses on the offense. I hate this line because this is basically the best spread home team in the league, better than the Bucks, and they're laying home court advantage basically. And it's interesting because I think this is Mike Brown's first time back. By the way, if you didn't get Mike Brown Coach of the Year stock, it's too late. Like Ron mentioned, the Kings are 13-10. It's ridiculous. How is this team other than maybe the Jazz coach, but you know how I feel about that. But I think, similar to the fact they only have one against the spread loss, they're an under team at home. I think the game that they played in Sacramento when Mike Brown did get his revenge went 247. And I think that is maybe getting us a little extra points here. And so I kind of like this under. They're only 4 overs in the 11 home games they've played, and 222 is a pretty low number for today's NBA totals. And so I kind of like the under here. I want to see who's playing in the game, but I will have definite multiple props going on in this game, especially if Fox and Mitchell were both to be out in multiple ways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be taking a different angle to that under, and this might make my premium card here. I'm gonna be looking at the Kings team total under. I know that we've lost already some value here, just because the total has gone down, and the line has gone down, probably like you mentioned, because of Donovan Mitchell, who's not making the shoot around. But the Cavs in general, they just been very dominant as a home team so far this season. 11-1 straight up, 9-1-2 against the spread, depending on the line that you get. But that's what the SDQL database spits out for me. They've also gone under in 6 straight home games, but primarily the under is being driven by their defense. Their opponents are not scoring over their team total for the most part. 8-4 to their team total under this season for the Cavs opponents in home games. 3 of those games, though, they went into overtime, and in regulation, they would have stayed under. So if we just count regulation scores, Cavs opponents 11-1 to the under so far on their team total in Cleveland. The Kings, they have not played well as road dogs in that situation. 1-6 straight up, 5-2 to the under. I looked at how they did themselves specifically on their team total in those spots, 6-1 to the under on their team totals in road dog situations. So a lot of things to me pointing to the Kings struggling offensively. And if you take Fox out, even if Fox is in, but more if Fox is out, I don't think that anyone can really replicate the type of numbers that Fox can do. Like Monk is more of a spot up shooter, right? Davion Mitchell is more of a defensive minded player. Terrence Davis, I feel like he's not really of a facilitator, so no one can really balance. Fox to me is more of a balanced point guard. He can facilitate when he wants to. He can score when he wants to. The other guys that are in this lineup that are going to replace him if he's out, they don't have that type of balance, and that kind of messes up the offensive flow, the offensive chemistry that they have going for themselves. So they're probably going to run through Sabonis, right? Sabonis is more of a playmaker than any of those point guards. So for me specifically, I'm going to be looking strongly towards this Kings team total under, but a look. You guys are probably more prop guys than me, but a triple double look on Sabonis. What are you guys' thoughts on that? If Fox is out,
I love that look. I think that's a great look. I don't think he's gotten one just yet this year. I mean, I think obviously going against the Cavs, it's a little tougher, but he needs to be that guy that gets to the middle and penetrates and dishes out to the outside. And like you said, having guys like Malik Monk who are spot up shooters, you need those guys who you can get a quick pass, hit them in the chest, and they can shoot and make that three. That's what, gets those triple doubles going or gets those assist props, stuff like that. So I do think he's obviously going to get the 10 points. He's obviously going to get the 10 rebounds, you would assume. He almost always does. The assist is going to be the biggest thing. And without De'Aaron Fox, like you said, and Davion Mitchell, he's one of those guys that he's nice, but when you don't have the threat of always scoring or anything along those lines, it does make it harder to facilitate. So with Fox out, that biggest guy is going to be Sabonis. And we've all seen that Sabonis can penetrate to the middle. He loves to dish out. He loves dishing to cutters as well. So he's a very versatile passer. And then another thing, too, is getting out in the fast break. Sabonis is also very good at outlet passing. So I think that's a great look tonight. Yeah,
like an in and out game with Sabonis and Herter would be crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Unfortunately, you can't get it yet, but nowadays they also let you in states that aren't Washington State. They also let you do things where you don't have to put the triple double in there. You can just take the 10 points, the 10 rebounds, and parlay it with what's probably going to be 6 assists.
Yeah.
You don't have
most likely. If you don't hit 6
stress over getting that 9 because so many. It's like Jokic the other night. He's got 27, 9, and 9. And you made an amazing bet on a triple double, but you lost. And it's and it's tricky with that, but no, I really love that look. And especially if you can get some run, I want the Kings to do some run. I know this is probably bad for defense with Herter and Monk on the floor. If they get run with that, it's just intense because those guys both are just hitting at an incredible rate. Herter doesn't shoot as many threes as you would think he does, but he is making more threes than Steph at his best. And so he's shooting 55% from deep, and it's absurd.
crazy.
But
Yeah.
that triple double look, I like those kind of things because you're going to get big
I
money
love
on it.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my bread and
Yeah.
butter.
We'll see. If Fox is out, I might take a stab at it. I don't do props that much, but yeah, I might take
I
a
would
stab at
say it'd probably be like a plus 700, plus
Oh, yeah.
800. I think
Oh,
it'd be a good
absolutely.
one. He's
That's
had
what I wanted
one
to see
this.
his assist numbers because
Yeah.
nothing's up yet because nobody's playing yet. But
it. Yeah.
I feel like what did he have against the Bulls? Was that who
Who?
he? Sabonis. He has one this year. I think it was against the Bulls.
Well, I know he almost had it just a few days ago. Like I think he was
Okay.
like a couple assists off. Let's see here.
Yeah, he had one against the Bulls in December 4th. Oh, so
Yeah,
that's recent.
one against the Bulls, and then he almost had it against the Bucks.
Okay.
3 assists off from the Bucks, 3 assists off against the Pacers, one
Yeah.
rebound off against Phoenix. Yeah, he's been flirting with that triple double for a while now. So if Fox is out for sure, like I don't know, man. I think that might be a good look.
I like that because even think of his days with the Pacers. You know, if their primary ball handler was out, he was that guy, and he was very like his triple double number was around plus 300, plus 400, like, and it would get lower than that when he would get hot, and a lot of that had to do with the primary ball handler being out. You know, that's why they made that trade for Halliburton for Sabonis so they could get a primary ball handler. So again, I really do like that look.
And I don't know if you're looking this up right now, but I know Matt just found this game. Talk about being a facilitator. Like he is willing. First off, he makes his free throws. He's a big guy that makes his free throws, which helps a lot in case he does play facilitator. He took 4 shots in his last triple double. 4 shots.
Yeah, that was against Chicago. Yeah, that's actually.
I mean that is how willing he is to morph into whatever they need.
Yeah.
So
all right, so. Well, look, the chat is starting to pop in. J Money show probably just ended. That's probably why. Well, the third game up, the last game up. Thanks for popping in, guys. Third game up, Bucks and Mavs here. Bucks are 18-6 so far this season, playing really well right now. Won 6 of their last 7 games. Also, they're getting healthier. They just got Middleton back. Third game back for him now. Mavs under 500 at one point in the last few games. Then they went on a nice streak here. 4 of their last 5 have been wins for them. They're in a bit of a funky travel spot, though. I don't know if you noticed this, but they haven't had multiple home games in a row since November 23rd. So every single game so far has been a travel spot, even single game homestands here. This is the first leg of back-to-back home to road games. They face the Bulls tomorrow in Chicago. Then they finally get multiple home game stand after that. But from an injury standpoint, both teams pretty healthy for the most part. Wesley Matthews and Joe Ingles are out for the Bucks, and only McKinley Wright out for the Mavs. Other than that, I don't see nothing at all from as far as key players being out or even questionable. So that's pretty rare these days in the NBA. This is definitely the game to watch tonight. Dr. Chuck, man, how are you looking at this one?
Well, I look at most things from the props out. And so, as you could imagine, this is going to be a pretty solid. In talking about triple doubles, you know, we have a couple guys that could go for a triple double in this game. But a lot of the, you know, if we're just looking at sides and totals here, it's interesting because the Mavs haven't been. If we're calling them a dog, which you pretty much do need to call them a dog here, even if it's just a point, because home court advantage and things like that. But yeah, I don't like that spot. This is the first time they've been a home dog, and even going back to last season, they've only been a home dog. Haven't even been a home dog, I don't think, 13 or 14 total times. So they do cover in that spot pretty regularly. But where I'm looking here, and Ron and Starchild hate me now, as I am going to tell you that the Bucks have. This is the 10th game that the Bucks are playing on the road. They have 1 over, and this is the 14th. This is the 15th game that the Mavs are playing at home this season, and they have 3 overs. So I mean, we're talking. This is a 25 game sample size, and 4 have gone over with these two teams combined. The Mavs, as we talk about all the time, are at the bottom or near the bottom in pace. They play slowly. They play ISO. They run out the clock, and they don't get a lot of extra contributions from non-Luka players. And that's what we're looking for in a Christian Wood or Spencer Dinwiddie, trying to supply more points. And even with the Bucks being healthier, and I know that those numbers, the 1 over and 8 unders, are supplied with a lot of Middleton and a lot of Drew, and sometimes Giannis sat, but still numbers are numbers in this 224. They're begging you in this showcase game to take the over. And even if the first half is one of those, someone gets to 60, we've seen this happen all the time. This still goes under as the game becomes much more serious, much more methodical. And I feel like this could be one of those fourth quarters that has 42 points and everybody, you could look for it live because you're going to find a better spot. And I guess I completely botched the end of the segment since this was going to be my best bet. But I want to hear what Ron has to say and Matt has to say about this one. But yeah, I like the under.
I mean, I agree with you on that under. Like you mentioned, Bucks on the road, really strong to the under this season, 8-1 to the under. You also mentioned the Mavs not being home dogs too often, and when they are, even dating back to last season, 11-3 to the under. So a lot of things pointing to that under. And when you have two top teams like this, they tend to bring in their top play, and defensively is where it's at for both of these guys. Mavs play one of the slowest paces in the league, if not the slowest pace in most recent games. So a lot of things pointing to that under. What do you think, Matt? Do you think the under there, or are you looking more towards the side?
Yeah, so I am definitely happy Chuck went first, so I didn't bust his best bet, because that's my pick for this game as well. Right now the Bucks are 4-4-1 against the spread on the road this season, but 10-5 at home against the spread. The Mavs, however, 4-8-1 against the spread at home, so not covering the spread very well at home this season, but they're winning these games. They're 10-3 at home straight up. So for me, it's a tougher spot for me to pick. If I were to go one way, I think I would go Bucks here, just because of the length that the Bucks bring on the defensive end. So much is dependent on Luka, obviously. Luka's having an MVP type season. But when you have guys like Bobby Portis, when you have guys like Giannis, when you have guys like Brook Lopez down in the middle, it does make things a little bit more difficult for someone like Luka Doncic, who loves to attack the basket. He loves the post-up game, things like that. And again, when you have guys like Giannis and you have guys like Bobby Portis who can help to defend and are longer, I think that could potentially slow him down. So I would lean the Bucks right there. But for me, I definitely prefer this under 224.5. Again, to Chuck's point, the Bucks are 1-8 to the under on the road this season in comparison to the Mavs being 8-5. So yes, the Mavs do trend over, but again, going to my point earlier, I think the Bucks have the lengthier of the defenders in this matchup to help potentially slow down Luka Doncic. And then another thing that I have to add in is what Tim Hardaway has been doing. Tim Hardaway has been absolutely on fire, and at some point that fire is going to go out. Okay, this isn't going to go on all season long. He's a Michigan man. I've been watching him since college basketball. He is a very streaky shooter, and at some point he cliff dives. I'm not saying it's going to be tonight, but listen to these numbers. He's at 22, 26, 28, 17, 29 his last 5 games, shooting 55% from three. The dude's just been a bucket. And at some point, this has got to stop. All right. And yeah, I do think it very well could be tonight. And that's also why I'm trending towards the under, because when Luka doesn't have his supporting cast pitching in and doing what they can do, or doing what Tim Hardaway has been doing, this team tends to go under and they tend to lose these games. So once again, that's kind of why I'm going with the Bucks here as well. And I like this under. But even looking at the pace, look at the pace of these two teams. Dallas, one of the slowest teams in the entire NBA with the 29th pace of play, and the Bucks are 16th, so they're not incredibly fast either. So all in all, if I were to side one way for this game, it would actually be with the under here at the 224.5.
Yeah, what can go wrong, guys? The panel on the under and the chat on the over. So we'll see how that goes. We'll probably hear it on Monday. We'll see. If we lose, the chat's going to come after us on Monday.
I understand.
Ron is really punishing me here. He says it's going to be that hook.
Oh, it's going to be a one-pointer.
It's harsh.
Yeah, that's funny.
Raven Ron doing us dirty.
Yeah. All right. Well, for me, I already talked to you guys about the under, why I like the under there. A lot of things pointing to it. But for me, Matt, I'm going to be on the other side here. I'm going to be with the Mavs.
Okay.
The Mavs, they've just been playing with a lot of momentum and motivation so far. A lot of their wins really have been, their strong wins have been against really good teams. At home against teams with a winning record, they're 7-1 straight up here. And these are against, dominant teams, the Suns, Nuggets, teams in the West that are really great. Some of the teams in the East as well that come and travel over home, they're taking care of business as well. So they play up against these opponents that they need to show up against. This is also a bit of a revenge spot here. The Bucks beat the Mavs just a few weeks ago, and Mavs in-season revenge so far this season, 2-0 straight up and against the spread. They beat the Suns 130-111 on Monday. That was the in-season revenge game. They beat the Nuggets on Tuesday as 6-point underdogs. So they're taking care of business in these revenge games. They have that motivation there in that spot. They play up against the teams with winning records. The Bucks, on the other hand, they've only faced one other team who has been over 500 at the time of a road game, and that they lost that game outright to the Hawks as 5.5 point favorites. Just 1 point favorites here to a motivated Mavs team that's playing with some momentum, playing really well as a team right now. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. You're saying Hardaway has to fall off at some point. But that's kind of like trying to catch a falling knife here, right? We're trying to figure out when that's going to happen. Maybe this might be the spot, right? Because the Bucks are a really strong defensive team. But if both teams play defensively, both teams play with a slow pace, I think that actually benefits the Mavs more so than the Bucks. That's more of a style that the Mavs play than the Bucks. So that'll be an uncomfortable style of basketball tonight for the Bucks versus the Mavs here. So I think the Mavs get their revenge tonight. Dr. Chuck mentioned right before the show that there was some line movement, and I saw Circa, one of the sharpest books out there, they moved this game to pick 'em, and the Bucks are still -1 at other books. So if we're looking at Circa being the sharpest book, that's telling us a little bit that maybe some sharps here are on the Dallas side. That's the way that I'm gonna go with that one, and leaning towards the under as well, guys. I think that it is time for the best bets. Did you guys have any prop plays at all on that one, or not?
No, not on that one.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be an ugly game. I don't think you want to take any overs on anybody. All right, best bets. Dr. Chuck, you kind of went over yours already, but I'll let you go a little bit further on it. Go ahead and start it off and talk about what else you got on the premium side as well.
Yeah, so a couple of the things that aren't SDQL related or situational spot related or anything to do with what the two co-hosts have iterated about the under here. These two teams played 10 days ago, and it went 239, and they scored 74 points in the first quarter. So, do your prudence, because live betting is a thing, and as much as we can't put them out, and I can't email you those type of things ahead of time, I will always tell you that things have to be so fluid. And you mentioned props, so I was gonna chime in there with a prop. The only prop I would have personally, and I don't know what it's going to be hung at yet, is let's just go with this. I think Javon Carter started at point, and I don't think Drew played in that game. That's neither here nor there for this. Grayson Allen, everybody, you either are in his family and you like this guy or you hate him, basically. And he's the starting 2 for the Bucks. Good for him. He has scored in 2022. He has scored more than 15 points twice. He scored 15 points in the first quarter of that game on the day, like the day after Thanksgiving and the weekend after Thanksgiving. If Jason Kidd can't figure that out, then we're going to lose. It's going to go over, and they're just going to let him. He went 5 for 5 from deep. Javon Carter made 2 more threes, and the Bucks scored 41 points. I guess if I wasn't going to give you anything other than how to make this bet, it went 239. It's in bettors' minds. It was in Milwaukee. The Bucks won by 15 or so, and Vegas still hangs a total more than 15 points less than what it was last time. What do you think they wanted to hang then? That's where I like to think of. If they hang a 224.5, they wanted to hang a 218, but they know they can't because there's going to be a lot of people out there with big pockets that can try and middle some stuff. But I just like the under period. They scored 39 points in the fourth quarter. Just like Ron said, this is a game where it will maybe be a little nuts to start with. And that's why you want to maybe get in on it live. But I think it goes under, and I think it kind of comfortably goes under. And I think the fourth quarter is pretty damn similar to what we saw last time.
Yeah, they opened up, Dr. Shuck, real quick. They opened up at 223, and it's gone up to 224.5.
Yeah.
A lot of bettors are taking that over because, like you said, they're hanging a low number after that huge game, right? So, yeah, they're begging us to take that over.
Fade the bag.
Yeah, Matt, how are you going with this? What's your best bet? And what do you got going on the premium side for today or maybe this weekend?
Yeah, premium side. So I have been held up with the flu a little bit. So premium side, I don't have any NBA plays loaded just yet. I'm going to get to it right after the show. I do have 2 NFL plays up where I went 10-1-1 in the NFL last week, had my best NFL week of the year. I got 2 UFC plays up currently as well. So do have some plays loaded and definitely will be attacking the slate tonight. I think there's a lot of good stuff on it. And 2 player props that I was looking at earlier, just to Ron's point. Kyle Kuzma, PRA. Love that one if Porzingis is out. I really love that one if Porzingis is out. And I was actually looking at Drew Holiday's under, actually, his point under or his PRA under, something along those lines, just because Drew Holiday really – I love Drew Holiday, don't get me wrong, great defender, things of that nature, but a very inconsistent scorer of the basketball. You know, he's coming off a 29-point game against the Denver Nuggets – or a 31-point game, I'm sorry, in their last outing against was it the Kings? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Either way, I'm looking at him. And but my best bet for tonight is not going to be a player prop. It's actually going to be the Hornets plus 3.5 against the New York Knicks. And honestly, before I get into this, I shout out the chat one more time. I see Raven Ron sticking to his guns. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the comments in the chat. You guys are great, and you really do make the show what it is. But going forward, Hornets plus 3.5, all right? The New York Knicks travel on the road to face off against the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks are 6-6 on the road this season and have truly been one of the more inconsistent teams in all of basketball. As for the Hornets, this is simply a team that's been struggling. They're 4-8 at home on the season, but I really do think this is a solid spot for a Hornet squad that has actually been 5-6-1 against the spread at home this season. You know, as for the Knicks, they are 7-5 against the spread on the road, but are coming off 2 home wins. So now they're going on the road, not a very far travel, but I think the Knicks are one of those teams that get a little too comfortable after getting a couple wins. And again, they're just so inconsistent. And this is a Hornets team now that has lost 3 games in a row. This is something that they've actually done twice this season. One time they broke it, one time they let it continue, but did cover that spread. So this is another one of those spots, though. You guys have heard me talk about Jalen Brunson over and over and over. And I love what he does offensively, but he is someone that you can absolutely expose on the defensive end. You know, Terry Rozier has been playing very good basketball. He tends to play better at home as well. So I really do like that matchup of Terry Rozier and Jalen Brunson. When Rozier gets it going, he's one of those guys that can keep the Hornets in games just by himself. You know, they're still without LaMelo Ball. They're still without Dennis Smith Jr. So again, this is going to be a Rozier-style night. So if you do like his point prop or you like this game, I think that could be another way that you could look. I would assume he'd probably be at like 23.5, somewhere in that vicinity. Have not checked that out. But to me, this is a Hornets team that somewhat reminds me of the Detroit Pistons and kind of what the Detroit Pistons have done. I think they're just a team that a lot of squads overlook, especially coming in on the road like the Knicks are. I think this is just one of those spots where they can get overlooked. And even when looking at this game early on, and seeing it at a 3.5-point spread, I was a little surprised. Last night it was at 4.5, so it is trending down. People are taking the Hornets here. So for me, I do like this Hornet spot. I think this line is a little bit fishy, and it might want people to might make people want to take the Knicks. But for me, I'm like the Hornets. I'm with the Hornets. I like this bounce back spot, and I think they cover the spread.
That makes a lot of sense. Even if you just look at the last few games where they did lose, they've been playing pretty tight, especially the last couple of games against the Clippers and Nets. I mean, games that they probably should have got blown out by, but they're sticking around. So even without LaMelo, Hayward, and all those guys, they're still doing their job, getting it done and covering spreads. So, and that's what we want. We don't need. You know what I mean?
To comment on the chat, I think the Hornets money line is a great look as well. I can see them winning this game outright very easily. Honestly, yeah, like maybe I'm a little gun shy because I took the Nuggets -1 last night and I should have taken them money line. You know, and I wouldn't have got that push. But I totally get what you're saying, Star Child. I do think the Hornets money line is a great look.
Yeah. All right. Well, for me, all right, best bet, the game that I was talking about earlier, Wizards Pacers here. Obviously we still want to look at Porzingis status there. I don't think it's going to affect my play. I don't think is going to be affected by Miles Turner, but probably by Porzingis. The line will probably move if he is out for sure. Pacers finally home after a long 7-game road trip. Dr. Chuck alluded to this. This is something that is pretty much a fade spot. And I talked about this the other day as well. I think on the Wednesday show, dating back to last season, home favorites off of at least a 5-game road trip, 15-25 against the spread so far since then. And so far this season, 1-5 against the spread. So that's a fade of the Pacers there. The Wizards, they continue to cover without Bradley Beal in the lineup. I think the books are continuing to over adjust the line on his absence. Wizards have been able to take advantage of that. Even though they're 4-3 straight up, they are 6-1 against the spread when Beal is out. Like I mentioned, Porzingis is a key player we want to watch out for, only because it's going to move the line a little bit more. But regardless of whether he's in or out, I'm probably going to take the Wizards still, because there was one game so far this season where Porzingis and Beal were out. Mavs won that game outright and covered the spread as well. So even when he's not, even if he doesn't play, it's more likely I'm still going to take the Wizards there. That is the way that I'm going to go on with that one. That's my best bet for today's show. On the premium side, I have not posted any of the plays yet, but I'm looking at 3 or 4 strong NBA plays today. Hopefully we continue to cash and move in the right direction, because we hit a wall a week ago and we're starting to put things together here. So Matt and Dr. Chuck, this is our last show of the week. Man, good luck to you guys. Good luck to everyone in the chat. We'll see everybody on Monday, same time on Monday. Peace.